We are back with part 2. Why is it wholly unsurprising that Prince Andrew has found himself in a situation with a potentially dubious character who's alleged to be a Chinese spy? It's because it's not the first time this has happened, and no, I am not talking about Jeffrey Epstein. From 2001 to 2011, Prince Andrew served as a special representative trade envoy for the UK, a role from which he stepped down from in 2011. Sure, okay. Certainly his relationship with Jeffrey Epstein, who, remember, was tried and convicted and served a prison sentence in 2008, played a role in this. But it's also because Prince Andrew made some curious decisions as trade envoy. This is a really great December 2023 piece from Declassified UK. Some of the things during his time as trade envoy we know. We know the Duke of York's judgment was questioned for things like holding meetings with Libyan leader Gaddafi's son and entertaining the son-in-law of Tunisia's ousted president at Buckingham Palace. What was particularly disturbing was his relationship with the son-in-law of the president of Kazakhstan. The son-in-law, whose name is Timur, purchased the Duke's Sunning Hill Park home for £3 million over asking price in 2007. Recall that by 2007, because of the US financial crisis involving subprime mortgages, the bubble was bursting in other places, like the UK, which makes £3 million over asking price even crazier. Andrew and Sarah have a history of financial woes. Sarah Ferguson has even admitted to taking money from Jeffrey Epstein. 2007 was no different. I'm not saying that the son-in-law of the president of Kazakhstan either saw an opportunity or was told to get into the good standing favor of the Duke, or at least, have him kind of owe something to the family, and then paid $3 million over asking price to perhaps cash in on that at a later date. But what I am saying is you don't offer £3 million over asking price because you really love what they did with the place. What is most disturbing about Prince Andrew's time as trade envoy is what we don't know, because we are not allowed to know. The UK government has blocked access to Andrew's time in the taxpayer-funded role as trade envoy. This is part of a longer issue of transparency when it comes to the British royal family. For instance, in the early 2000s, when The Guardian successfully sued for their FIA Request Freedom of Information Act, 2 letters that Prince Charles had sent to government officials, they were known as the Spider Memos. The reaction to that by the government was to change the law so that you cannot FIA request the current sovereign or the heir apparent, any of their letters. That was the reaction to that information, was to make it even harder, was to close those loopholes. Papers on Prince Andrew are closed until 2065. The author of this piece specifically has questions about who accompanied him on these delegations for drumming up trade with Britain, for what purposes. I might have to get more into this article another time because it is super interesting. I have heard the argument that why would anyone use the Duke of York to get access, to get information? And honestly, it makes a lot of sense. I mean, Prince Andrew was the favored son of Queen Elizabeth. When he was trade envoy, she was obviously still on the throne. It is obvious that there is something almost untouchable about Prince Andrew, to the extent that his own brother won't do anything about it now that he's king. I mean, the man's still in the royal lodge. But also because if you're going to try to get access, you are looking for the easiest way in. And with Prince Andrew's record and his seemingly never-ending financial issues, that's totally where you would go first. More to come.